representative of Nigeria in the global, on the global platform. The essence of my 30 minutes interaction with you is to give NIJ postgraduate students in communications and public relations a very direct advantage of having a view of the global window of what is trending. Global Alliance for Public Relations and Communication is the global body that regulates public relations in the whole world. The month of April 2021 happens to be a month dedicated to training and education. And each resource person was advised to choose a topic and share with some members of the institute and would-be members as well, so that they can be beneficiaries of our month of training and education. And for that purpose, I decided to look at some intricacies that could benefit the exchange of the learning and teaching exchange. The rationale before this, behind this is, it is a submission as a contribution to April, the month of Global Alliance Education and Training, and is to discuss and present reflective teaching as a potent methodology of imparting public relations and communication skills, knowledge, and ethics for sustainable professional practice, whether as a broadcaster, advertising expert, public relations, or marketing. Whichever you go into is a communication platform, and there's a need for you to be able to impart what you have garnered over the years to those who are coming behind you. It is a CEO #1 challenge to build succession. Reflective learning is an influencer of self-evaluative and evidence-informed professionalism, which public relations and communications generally will need more than other subjects and practices. And it does, one, contributes to quality improvement of teaching and learning process. Two, it enhances mentor and mentee or coach and learner interactive exchange with increased mutuality. You see, by the time you get to reflective approach in teaching, there is a humor, there is joke, there is pity, there is empathy. Then you have a mixed grill. You can find ironies running through a particular timing. Because people will ask questions, hey, so when you now sang like a frog, what did the congregation say then? Somebody might be mimicking. Even the thing you didn't witness, what the teacher said, you imagine how it was happening then. Then you bring jokes, you bring mimicking, you bring different kind of things from that. And it becomes more impactful on you as a learner. And the same thing, it also spurs the teacher to do more and look for more. So it is like you are trying to flavor a food substance. Like if you garnish your rice, maybe carrot, apple, garden egg, and so it's the same thing when you are dishing out communication. It requires being garnished. It requires being furnished with some delights that will make people like it. Then, it uses a silent but impactful voice for sense of direction. If somebody tells you his experience, that let me tell you why you should not do A, B, C, D. The reason is why you should, then, and it tells you the consequences of who had done it or when he did it. It sinks to your memory more than reading rote learning instructions. That you should not do this, you should not do that, you should not do this. But it's rather saying that why you shouldn't do. It happens that in the year 2020, ABCD did X, Y, Z. Reflections are always indicators of where the story will end. It employs advocacy to breed adherence on family-like platforms. Reflective teaching and learning makes it to look like a family affair. And then you'll be able to walk through a high level of mutuality. And of course, the exchanges therein will become profitable both ways. The uniqueness of reflective teaching is made up of the following. If you want to, continuous research about learning gap and leveraging on relevant experiences of the past that could bridge the gap and even do more. I will take that again, but I want us to really get it. Continuous research about learning gap and leveraging on relevant experiences of the past that could bridge the gap and even do more. Let me share one experience with you. As a student of communication, I did not know how to read very well. And my teacher, teaching me writing for the media, asked me to take my book and read to the palm tree in front of the class. So I took the book and faced the palm tree, and I was reading to the palm tree. He stood at a distance. Then he would stop me abruptly and say, start again. Where you have to have comma, if you read without the comma being expressed or displayed, you start all over. So I was reading to a palm tree. That was my audience for 2 weeks. It's not a joke. Those were the time teachers were available. You understand what I mean? Teachers were available. If you are a slow learner, there is a teacher there who is ready to wait for you and take you along that slow path until you move to the fast lane. So that teacher teaching me how to read, reading to palm tree, was the one that gave me the best reflective teaching approach about reading. And if you look at that, if I now tell you how I was taught how to read, you will be joining me in a trip of imagination to think again, why couldn't he read well? How did he look then? How did he feel reading to palm tree? All these questions will be in your own mind, not in my mind. I hope you get what I'm saying. And that gives you some strength of also linking up with ability to read well. Then somebody can even say, you better read well, otherwise I will ask you to go and read to palm tree. No, a joke has come out of it. Anything you do to my presentation in that regard, you are escalating and also replicating the knowledge and the feeling. And that is the power in reflective teaching. Reflective teaching is a two-way relationship and environment-driven. It is environment-driven. Because anything that happens, the resources around with which it happened, or whosoever is around, all become part of the environment. And therefore, every learner matters. In reflective teaching, every learner matters. In reflective teaching, individual differences are recognized. In reflective teaching, feedback indicates reflective learning as a freely produced exchange. Cordiality, mutuality, freedom of expression, rights, morals, values, and tolerance make reflective teaching a service to adults, particularly professionals like you. It is key, and then it also helps. Adopting reflective teaching for sustainability of communication and PR practice. Broad standards and benchmarks of competencies should define goals attainable by learners. As expectations must enjoy clarity, and key points must be in the front burners to enable practicable professional attempts. We should not expect that you do a lot of theories that will not allow you to put your hands and your eyes on the practice of what you are going to live with as your profession for the rest of your life. If we want to help you, we must expose you so much to the past players, role players in this profession, what they have done differently, and the new gadgets, emerging gadgets for practice If you don't try your hands on emerging gadgets, even when you don't have it in the school, you can still go online. There are lively clips that will play for you, that will show you how devices are used. Then there are exhibitions across that will also do the same. Exhibitions is one great source of reflective learning. But when you go to the exhibition and you see how machines are operated and what they do, they stick to your brain and you remember. So if you are lucky, you join an organization that can now buy, then you become faster learner. Continuous assessment leading to continuous improvement must be permeative. Continuous assessment leading to continuous improvement must be permeative, must cut across all what you are doing. There should be professional recognition of teachers, mentors, and coaches as faculties in their own respect in the business and practice of public relations and communications, possibly for the better. Global Alliance Education Purview may need to allow for platform of selection of interested members for train-the-trainer engagements across corporate and individual members. This will lead to breeding of professionalized mentors and coaches working under coordinated leadership with regulated standards. All that jargons I'm saying there is that there's a need for us to see teaching as a profession. So teaching of communication subjects will also be seen as a dual profession. Profession of understanding teaching as a profession and profession of understanding communication as a subject or discipline. The two must be matched. Otherwise, the quality of training in the communication classes and schools will not give the labor market the quality of products that the economy requires to function. I hope that makes it clearer to us. It is important to know that Global Alliance is ready to promote quality of content, quality of delivery, quality of personnel, quality of gadgets. On a daily basis, efforts are being made, concerted efforts for that matter, being made to achieve this. And that is why we are happy for the development of thinking about individual membership, that even as you alone, you can decide to join Global Alliance. Then the school, after this seminar of today, we are going to work with the management of the school to ensure that we allow the NIJ as a school of communication to be a member, corporate member of Global Alliance. And to ensure that, we need your cooperation, and I hope you are ready for that. Thank you very much. In conclusion, Andrew Poland, a very good communication researcher in 2008, made elaborate clarifications of what reflective teaching entails with several elements, which I will list and mention here for you. One, active concern with aims and consequences as well as means and technical efficiency. You know you cannot put that away in today's communication business. Then two, a cyclical or spiraling process in which the teacher and mentor, or teacher and the coach and the learner monitor, the coach or the learner monitors, evaluates, and revises his or her own practice continuously. That is, the teacher himself must do self-evaluation every now and then. After each lecture, he should be able to find out among the students how did it go. When I was teaching in Babcock University, after helping them to set up that department, I used to give blank paper, I call it blank check, to the students to just write figure. If you write long sentence, a teacher can be tracking your handwriting and say you are the one. You don't write so that you don't have any fear I want to punish you. Just tell me, my mark is 10, so what do I score? If it's 4, over 10, just put 4. If it's 3, so I give them, I will leave them for 5 minutes. I come back, they submit on floor. I will go there and carry. You know, I cannot know who wrote what, just figure. So I now calculate how many people score me 7 up to 10. How many people score me 6 downward? That is my evaluation. I did it and it helped. So, and then until I built confidence in them to be able to face me and say, sir, when you started, the first 10 minutes you started, you were doing it slowly as if you were reading. The second time, you were not pronouncing your words loudly and you couldn't write. So they critique. The freedom to critique came into them, built into, and then that is the best self-evaluation. And it's a system where if you come late, there's somebody in the class appointed by the dean, and you don't know, to say Dr. Oladele came 20 minutes after 9 instead of 9. And that is another way. So it is important to know. Then, number 3, reflective teaching requires competence in methods of evidence-based learning as a platform of inquiry to drive progressive development of higher standards of teaching. It also requires attitudes of open-mindedness, responsibility, and wholeheartedness. You can't do it halfway. Your mind must be there, your soul must be there, your body must be there, because that is your career, that is your future, that is your profession. Once you are diverted in your thinking and concentration, there's every evidence to derail. And that is, you are like somebody riding bicycle. If you are riding bicycle, where are you looking at? Front. If you look sideways, what happens to you? That is the best way to explain reflective learning. It is also based on teacher judgment, informed by evidence-based inquiry and insights from the researchers. The teacher is a learner more than the learner. That's the way I can explain it. The teacher is a learner more than the learner. But he has to do a lot of research, just like lawyers do. When you want to take a case to court as a lawyer, you research all similar cases, isn't it, that has happened before. They call it precedent. So reflective teaching is about precedents. Those of you who are lawyers among you will understand that. Lawyers do a lot of research they didn't do in school before they go for a case, just one case. In the life of Ganifa Emi when he was alive, he had a different approach. He used to divide his chamber members into 2. One side will argue for, the other side will argue against. Those argue against will represent the opponent lawyer. They are going to meet in court tomorrow. So by the time they get to the court, they have the volume of left and the volume of right. So when a lawyer from Ganifa Emi stands up, he said, for example, my other learned colleague can say that when sun is brighter, computer image will not show on the screen. But I can put it to you that you can make you can improvise by have black curtains all over your window, and then you see. So he doesn't allow that person to come with his own reason. He emptied it before the person, based on, we are almost done. We are having less than 2 minutes. Yes. It is made up of professional learning and personal fulfillment. Professional learning and personal fulfillment. And then that is very enhancing through collaboration and dialogue. That's personal fulfillment and professional learning. They are done and made possible through collaboration and dialogue. And I expect you to engage me after my presentation to show what we are saying. And it is made up of, it also allows external creative mediation and development of frameworks for teaching learning process. So it is important that we get these. For public relations and communications as interactive subjects aimed at high ethical standards, amiable integrity and reputation, as well as team play and collaboration with mutual exchanges, the 7 elements those above could almost complete a reliable canon for coaching and mentoring in public relations and communication practice. There would only be a need for alignment of theories and models between professional teaching and public relations to blend for sustainability as the hallmark of the worthwhile exercise. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much. You are free to ask your questions. You are free to add to what I've said. You are also free to suggest deductions from it. So, and that is another side of it about deductive reasoning. So, the floor is open.
So, sorry, do you have any question, class, about what we just learned? Because I know we are doing that. Okay. Is there any other person aside me? We are all communicators. We should be both. Aside me.
Presented to us today, sir,
Yeah.
is that it should be an instrument that permits the mentor to know better how to assist the mentee, that is the teacher, how to assist the teacher through feedback that you get from what is imparted to the mentee. That is what I understand then. Secondly, the system of our country here, does it permit, or our client, does it permit accurately reflective teaching? Because, for example now, this video that you take when, as you are lecturing, by the time you get back on your own to watch it, it will give you a feedback of what you have done and what you need to improve on. So majority of the delivery that we have in our client does not provide this technology. So how will this reflective teaching be very effective in our client?
The whole discussion is about how do you use your past experiences to mold those who are now coming up so that they don't make the mistakes you have made. It's more of an African thing than any other place. There are so many proverbs in Nigerian languages, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, Fufude, Shekiri, that will tell you that any idol not worshipped in the presence of a younger child will go into oblivion. People will forget it. So therefore, it is not a foreign concept at all. It is an African concept that we teach our children, even when our grandfathers and mothers were stark illiterate according to modern education. They were far richer as mentors. You remember that somebody would take his son to his father, and that son was taken to the grandfather for the purpose of mentoring. And after 10 years, even in business, look at our pharmacies all over the place. People who do better are those apprentices who spend 4, 5, 6, 7 years with their masters dishing out of counter medication. They learned it. So that is mentoring, that is coaching. So it's not a foreign thing, but we are saying, how do we do it better? By using the experiences of the teacher so that the learner will not fall into mistakes that the teacher had fallen into, or that he knew other people fell into. That is just a summary of reflective learning. And if you look at it very deeply, if a teacher concentrates on looking for relevant experiences to teach his subject matter, he will spend shorter time, he will have higher understanding and collaboration with his students, the learner. Whether advertising, broadcasting, print journalism, or public relations. That's why you can see us dedicating the month of April for training and education as a professional engagement. So the training and education opens up opportunity for people to come and contribute. How can we make education and training better for communication practitioners. You have raised a very vital point. It should not start in the afternoon. It should start in the morning. That is, we should look at the pedagogy more than the andragogy. We should look at early childhood education and having this exposure of reflective teaching. But I can tell you, started about 20 years in the UK, and over 70 researchers volunteered to work on them. And if you Google even the topic, the books on reflective teaching, you'll be surprised with the volume of publications that are already in that aspect. But as a busy professional in communication areas, we cannot leave our own business and go back and face somebody else's business. So the first thing we are going to do at Global Alliance will ensure that we collaborate with professional educators whose specializations are in the areas of that. As specialists in that area, they will be available to give us insight and to work with us. For example, I chose that topic because each resource person was allowed to choose his topic. I look into lacunas of education and training in communication, and I found out that methodology is suffering. Maybe because I have a background of a professional teacher with my NCE before going to communication and other things. So I love teaching. So I want to see the little I know, how best can I pass it down, with what tools, what methodology. So that was what informed me. So Global Alliance, we take your question, not as a question, but rather as a feedback. And I'm going to flag it on the international platform for us to look at, and that will also advise our planners to look how do we do that. So it's a very wonderful contribution. I appreciate it. So I hope I make sense to you now.